Greetings, this is Sarah Rushlow on behalf of Baker Hunt's Art and Cultural Center, here to bring you another fun and exciting art tutorial. Greetings all, this is Sarah Rushlow on behalf of Baker Hunt Art and Cultural Center, here today to bring you a tutorial about combining permanent Sharpie markers with washable markers and drawing a flower too. So let's get started. Gather your materials. You're going to need, of course, washable markers, a permanent Sharpie, regular pencil, and maybe some Q-tips. You want some Q-tips, or you can use paint brushes too. Here is a water container. You're just going to need water. If you don't have washable markers, you can use Sharpies. Just be sure to use rubbing alcohol instead of water when you do that. So let's get started. First things first, we're going to draw our flower, or whatever you decide to draw, in pencil. So we can plan out our drawing a little bit, and if we want, we can modify it. So I'm going to draw my flower. I draw my flowers by drawing a big circle and then a little circle on the inside, and then drawing some curvy lines between them. And they don't have to be even. Now I'm going to go up to where the petals are, and I'm going to draw some outlines of my petals. Going real fast. I'm too concerned about that. Once again, if I don't like something, like up there I didn't like that little corner as much, I can go back in real easy and modify it. That's one of the nice things about pencils. Now, what you're going to do after you've colored this in, after you've drawn this in pencil first, you're going to go in with Sharpie. Now Sharpie is permanent, so it is going to stain your paper permanently, so you're going to want to go slower when you do that, but it's okay to move relatively quickly when you're doing the pencil part of this. And I'm going to give the bottom of my flowers just a little bit of a curve, bottom of my petals, because petals kind of have that shape, but you don't have to. You don't have to draw this kind of flower either. You can do what you like. Then I'm going to give it a stem, so it's not a flower floating in the void. Here we go. All right, now I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to outline my flower. I might go a little fast, a little slower with this because I want it to be nice. Do the whole thing. In case anyone's wondering, that's my cat Minx. I think she had a few words of advice. Meow. Not entirely sure what that means, but who are we to know the minds of great masters? Gonna go ahead, gonna finish this soon, just outline it. And you can take more time with yours. In fact, I suggest you do. Just gonna show you. Next up, we are going to go in to these lines and we're gonna color them in. It's kind of like you've made your own coloring book in a sense. Give them those little check marks for like little creases in the petals. There we go, a little thin. All right, so once your Sharpie is dry, or mostly so, you're gonna look at it and you're gonna take your pencil, you're gonna find your eraser. I'm gonna take a few minutes, especially where it's thicker, let it dry because you don't want smears. can ruin your work. And there you go. You're erasing your lines, and it's like they never existed. You got these nice, solid black lines to work with now. You can use the back of your pencil, or if you have a white gum eraser, you can use that too. Here we go. So there. Oh, almost forgot. Corner. All right. So now I'm going to go to my watercolor, my washable markers, and I'm going to arrange them so that the colors that sit next to each other on the color wheel are sitting next to each other in my markers. So I don't need that Sharpie anymore. Orange, red, purple, blue, green. And you don't want to put an orange next orange with, you don't want to mix orange with green because then you get mud. All right, so first things first, I'm going to use my orange, and I'm going to outline my Sharpie, my black Sharpie lines. Now, you don't need to fill this flower in completely. In fact, you kind of want to leave the middle of the petals white. These marker lines are going to expand when you put water on them, and they will create solid fields of color if you put them next to each other like this. But I don't know if you've ever noticed when you look at a flower petal, normally those flower petals do not have some highlights. Like for example, if it's a red rose or something, there'll be parts of the red that are darker than others. Okay. Tends to be where the light is hitting it the most. Yeah. Let's go ahead and fill your lines in. Yep. And I'm not entirely sure what flower this is. I think it's just an imaginary, I think it's my own imaginary flower. You can find reference photos for your flowers, and or you can just do imagine. You can come up with imaginary flowers. An imaginary flower. It's really up to you. Trying to go quickly. Fill this up. Yeah, and the edges tend to be a little darker, so I'm going to draw my lines a little closer together. And then maybe some more shadow around the base because there's less light going to be getting between those petals. Yeah. All right, there we are. Then I'm going to go in, and then I'm going to go in with this red and just accent those darker shape, those areas a little bit. So go around the outside. Because that's where the red's going to be a little darker. Notice I'm not filling in the area, just giving it an accent. You'll see why in a second. Those lines are going to expand a lot. Hopefully though, your Sharpie marker will have dried completely, and those lines are going to stick if you run water over them. If you're using Sharpies with this technique, I would suggest working in reverse. I would suggest drawing your colors first and then using a Sharpie after those markers are completely dry from the rubbing alcohol and going over it. That way you can still have those nice graphic lines, because if you mix Sharpie and rubbing alcohol, it makes the lines bleed. All right. Some purple for the center. Some blue for the center. Then maybe some blue for the stem. And the petals, not a big deal. Notice I'm not going over this too much because it's gonna bleed. It'll bleed a lot then. Though I don't know, sometimes that actually looks really interesting if it bleeds more. All right, so now I'm going in. All right, so now it's time to go in with a Q-tip. It's my favorite part. See, I'm going over the petals with my Q-tip. All right. Gonna cover this in. Once you're done with that, you're going to wait till the flower dries. And if you're waiting for the water to do its magic, you can, if you haven't already, you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, hashtag Baker Hunt Art. Yeah, if you can, I'd suggest keeping like one side of your Q-tip for these colors like blue, greens, and then another one for the purples and the reds, so the colors don't get muddy. All right, so you're gonna go in. Another thing, so like I was saying, there are some different techniques you can try. So you can deliberately put drops on it. Sometimes that makes a nice, kind of an interesting pattern, like if you really want it to bleed the outside. That's one thing you can do. All right then, so you wait till that dries, and then you go back and you can look at it and enjoy it. Do another one if you enjoy this technique, and hopefully by the time you are done, you will have something that looks like this. See how the fields of color are much smoother? Almost all of those lines have disappeared. And but you still have, see how you still have those very graphic black lines in there from the permanent marker. They stayed stiff, they stayed still, the rest of the colors moved around. All right, so that's about does it for now. On behalf of Baker Hunt Art and Cultural Center, I'm here to say stay safe, stay creative, and I will see you next time. Bye.